one day more. Until the 2018 midterms, both parties make their closing arguments. We take a look at the latest outbreak of anti-Semitism in New York City, and Gloria Steinem and Barbra Streisand are back and better than ever. I'm Ben Shapiro. This is The Ben Shapiro Show. Oh, so many things to talk about because we have one day more until the midterm elections. And tomorrow, we are doing some pretty awesome stuff. So you're going to want to tune in. Not only do I have my normal episode, we also are doing our election night special, which we do for your pleasure, not mine. So be there. I mean, if I'm going to put that sort of sacrifice in, you may as well be there because come on, people, come on. If I'm going to sacrifice my night, you need to suffer with me. But first, let's talk a little bit about what you do for your legal services. So as a business owner, as a person involved in business, we need legal services on a constant basis. And let me tell you something, lawyers are extraordinarily expensive, but LegalZoom is not. And that is why you need LegalZoom. They are there to give you the tools you need so you can focus on running your business. I knew about LegalZoom way back when I was just doing like incorporation documents, when I was doing wills and trusts. But you can use LegalZoom for a wide variety of legal services. More than 1 million Americans have used LegalZoom to start their businesses. But even after your business is set up, LegalZoom can still help you out. Things like lease agreements, changing tax laws, contract reviews, those are all part of running your business. And you don't know what you're doing, which is why you need a lawyer. They even have crafted a business legal plan so you can get advice for your business from vetted independent attorneys and tax professionals licensed in every state. The best part is you won't get charged by the hour since LegalZoom is not, in fact, a law firm. Visit LegalZoom.com right now to take care of your business before the year winds down. And for special savings, be sure to enter promo code BEN in the referral box at checkout. That is promo code BEN for special savings only at LegalZoom.com. Again, that is LegalZoom.com. Go check it out right now, LegalZoom.com, and use that promo code BEN in the referral box at checkout to let them know we sent you and for special savings. So check that out right now. All right, so tomorrow it begins. It's the great election of our time. Now, I have to say, there are a lot of folks who constantly say that whatever election is happening right now is the most important election of our lifetime. And this is not the most important election of our lifetime. Okay, it's an important election, just like most elections are important. It's important in the sense that the direction of the country could shift pretty remarkably if the Democrats were to win, for example, the House and the Senate, setting up their run against President Trump in 2020. It could also shift against intersectional politics from the left if Republicans were to hold the House. If Republicans were to hold the House in spite of the hatred of President Trump, that would be a pretty remarkable turnabout. And again, the only time since 2002 that the party in power has held the seats that they have gained in a House election. Right, 2006, the elections shifted the control of the House. 2010, the election shifted the control of the House. 2014, the control of the Senate shifted. So this would be the first time in an off-year election in 16 years that the party in power actually held the houses that it held before the election. That's a possibility. Okay, so I don't want to discount that possibility. I will not say it's a likelihood, but it is a possibility. So for example, here's a Wall Street Journal poll. This is a chart of polls from the Wall Street Journal and how in the past those have matched up with the actual performance. Right, so the Wall Street Journal poll, several years ago, it showed that the Republicans were leading, and then it showed that the Republicans won like 60 votes in the House when all was said and done. Right now, the Republicans are down in the polls about 20 seats. So if that's where it ends up, right, if the final Wall Street Journal poll shows a 7-point Democratic lead, that is consistent with a 16-seat GOP loss. So while there are a lot of folks saying that this could be up to a 40-seat win for Democrats, it could just be a 16-seat win for Democrats, which means that Republicans hold the House. That is within the range of possibilities. For folks who are saying that it is impossible for Republicans to hold the House, that obviously is untrue. It is unlikely that they hold the House. The late-breaking polls are breaking against Republicans. If the election had been held 3 weeks ago in the midst of Saga Kavanaugh, I think the Republicans probably hold the House, or at least there's a good shot that they do. Tomorrow night, I think that the chances are not great that Republicans hold the House. The new CNN poll shows Democrats leading Republicans by 13 points in the final generic ballot, 55-42. Democrats leading among independents by 14, among women by 27. And in some of the bellwether states, things like Florida, where Ron DeSantis, congressperson, who I think is really great, running against Andrew Gillum, who's a radical left Democrat for the governorship of Florida, the early voting is actually cutting in favor of Democrats, which obviously cuts against Republicans, not just for early voting, but more broadly as well. The problem with trying to forecast all these elections is that taking that generic ballot poll that shows Democrats up heavily and not looking at each individual district is not being honest about how this is done. The truth is that congressional elections run a lot more like the Electoral College than the popular vote. So let's be real. In 2016, the national vote totals were very close to the national polling, but the Electoral College did not skew that way. The same thing is true in these in these congressional districts. So just because you have a congressional district in which everything is even and the national vote totals are wildly out of whack, the national vote totals don't matter. All that matters is what's happening inside that district. So if I had to forecast this thing right now, if I were to go out on a limb, I say Democrats win 40 seats. If I don't go out on a limb, I say Democrats win 30 seats and win slight control of the House, and Republicans maintain the Senate, maybe even pick up a seat or two. Now, let's talk about the final pitches that are being made in the run-up to this election. Because one of the things that's driving me absolutely up a wall, and I think it is for a lot of folks on the conservative side of the aisle, is the complete and absolute dishonesty of about what both parties are contending. So I have freely admitted on this show that I think that President Trump's pitch in the final days of this election about the migrant caravan being this grave threat to the republic, I think that is exaggerated. I do not think 12,000 people are descending en masse on the border in militarily violent ways in order to invade the country. I don't think that's what this is going to be. I think by the time this reaches the border, it'll be several hundred people who go to a port of entry, apply for asylum. Some are accepted, some are rejected. I don't think you actually need 15,000 troops, who, by the way, are not allowed to actually shoot people because that would be a violation of posse comitatus, right? You can't use domestic army to enforce foreign policy or state law. You can't actually do that. So they're actually going down there right now, and they're putting up like concertina wire. They're putting up barbed wire so that people can't cross the border, all of which is fine if President Trump thinks it's necessary. But, the President Trump's closing pitch that this is a massive crisis, I think, is exaggerated. I think he should be pushing the economy, although I understand why he's doing what he's doing. The reason he's doing what he's doing is because the Democratic pitch has basically come down to Republicans are all racist bigots. It's amazing. In 2016, after they lost a national election on the basis of that pitch, they are now reverting to that pitch. The pitch is that if Republicans don't vote Democrat, they're a bunch of racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe, anti-Semites. This is the pitch that Democrats are making as their closing pitch. And that is not a good pitch. It isn't. No matter how much you don't like how Republicans are running, Democrats are running an intersectional identity politics campaign. There's been a lot of talk from the left about Republicans running this identity politics campaign. Okay? Even if that's true, that does not change the fact that Democrats are also running an identity politics campaign. And here's my great fear coming out of this election. Like, just trying to put on my objective observer cap for 1 second. And listen, I'm a partisan. I want Republicans to win tomorrow. I think that if Democrats take control of the House, then it's going to forward the worst impulses among them, and it's going to lead to terrible, terrible policy. Because it turns out it's not just a rejection of Trump to put Democrats in charge of policy. It also means an embrace of radical left policy. And there are costs to trying to punish Trump at the ballot box, and that cost is putting people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in position to actually shape policy, putting people like Andrew Gillum in position to shape policy. So here's the big problem, putting on my objective observer cap. If you are somebody who doesn't like the tone and tenor of our politics, if the Republicans retain the House, Democrats will become ever more wild, and many Republicans are going to think that President Trump's more ridiculous excesses are good, right? That it's an affirmative recommendation of President Trump's more ridiculous excesses. Just as in 2016, Trump won, and so the party decided what we need is to act more like Trump. You could get that as a reaction from the right to the Republicans winning tomorrow night. On the left, if Democrats win, it's going to be a full-scale belief on the left, and a heartfelt belief that the only way to win elections is to be as vile and nasty and intersectional and slanderous of the other side as humanly possible. So I don't see our politics getting better based on anything that happens tomorrow evening. Now, if I had to measure, where do I think our politics get worse? I think if the left wins tomorrow night, then our politics get significantly worse in a variety of ways. Not only because the Democrats are then emboldened to embrace the worst among them, but also because the Democratic policy comes along with a lot of negatives. Their policy is extraordinarily radical. And I know we've ignored that policy all the way through this election because everything revolves around the black hole of Trumpism. But the fact is that electing Democrats is not a cost-free proposition. And the reason I'm saying this to moderates and leftists in the audience, liberals in the audience, not leftists, liberals in the audience. The reason I'm saying this is because if you want to make every election a referendum on Trump, then what you have to recognize is that there are costs to that referendum. Right? Those costs come in terms of policy. And you can see that the left is already embracing this intersectional politics. They've not moved away from it. They're not unifying the country. The great lie that the Democrats are putting forward and their acolytes are putting forward is that President Trump is dividing the country, but Democrats will unite the country. That is a lie. I think President Trump has been quite divisive on cultural issues. I think Democrats have been just as divisive or more divisive than Republicans. That isn't whataboutism. That's a condemnation of everybody who's attempting to divide us on the basis of politics. But I'll tell you what's even more divisive is people gaslighting, people on the left suggesting that if you're on the right, you're okay with all of the excesses of President Trump. But if you're on the left, you're a wonderful, good, kind, decent, clean, beautiful human being, just by nature. And this is what you are seeing even from, the quote unquote moderate Republicans who say we have to vote for Democrats in order to stop Trumpism. So you're going to affirmatively vote for the party of Keith Ellison in order to stop Donald Trump? Explain to me how that one works. I understand the argument, as I did in 2016, that you don't like anybody, you're staying home. I get that. But to suggest that an attempt to greenlight the Democratic Party is somehow going to make the country better is just bizarre. And the media are pushing as hard as they possibly can on this. I mean, the media have just been, when folks say that the media is unbiased, I don't know how you could possibly say that and look at the reality of what the media do on a daily basis. Today, CNN tweeted this out. Remember the ad that President Trump put out there about the caravan? And it juxtaposed the caravan to an illegal immigrant killer. And I said that this ad was inflammatory and over the top, but it was effective and it was not racist. Here's CNN's take. Quote, CNN has made it abundantly clear in its editorial coverage that this ad is racist. When presented with an opportunity to be paid to take a version of this ad, we declined. Those are the facts. So much journalism. Remember, CNN is supposed to be an objective outlet. It is not their job to simply declare ads racist that actually are not racist. But this is what they do. And this is what they do on a regular basis. It's pretty astonishing. CNN fails to report facts on a regular basis as well. Right? This is the same CNN that suggested that President Trump was responsible for the shooting in Pittsburgh, that he was responsible for the bombing attempts against Democrats. Well, there was a guy who was arrested over the weekend for vandalizing a synagogue in New York City. CNN failed to report that this guy was a Democratic activist who volunteered on Obama's presidential campaign and was a former City Hall intern who worked on combating hate crimes. That's CNN, factual CNN. And it gets worse. It gets worse. I'll explain in just a second. But first, let's talk about how you do your postage. So I know you think that the only way to do postage is you send one of your folks down to the post office to wait in line, and then they have to spend time there and they have to spend money there. Well, the fact is you can get all the great services of the post office at Stamps.com. With Stamps.com, you can access all those amazing services right from your desk 24/7 when it's convenient for you. Buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package using your own computer and printer. The mail carrier picks it up. Just click, print, mail, you're done. It could not be easier. We use Stamps.com here at the Daily Wire offices on a regular basis. It saves us time, which means it saves us money. Right now, use promo code Shapiro for our special offer. Up to $55 of free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. Go to Stamps.com. Before you do anything else, click on the radio microphone at the top of the homepage and type in promo code Shapiro. Again, that's Stamps.com. Enter promo code Shapiro. Stamps.com. Use that promo code so you get that free offer. Again, $55 free postage, a digital scale, and a 4-week trial. When you go to Stamps.com and click on that radio microphone at the top of the page and type in Shapiro, go check it out right now. That's Stamps.com, promo code Shapiro. So the media obviously have a stake in this election cycle in making it a referendum on Trump and ignoring the fact that there's another party that's part of this election. Now, in 2016, the great lie was that was a referendum on Trump. It was not a referendum on Trump. It was a referendum on Hillary Clinton. And because it was a referendum on Hillary Clinton, Trump won. In an off-year election, it's usually a referendum on the president. That's usually the way that it works. But, again, this is a two-party system, and that means it should be a referendum on Democrats too. But here are the headlines from the Washington Post. These were the two leading headlines at the Washington Post website as of last night. Quote, midterms test whether Republicans not named Trump can win by stoking racial animosity. So much journalisming. So much because Trump is stoking racial animosity, and so are Republicans everywhere. What are their examples in this piece of Republicans stoking racial animosity? A bunch of non-Republican groups running ads non-associated with Republican campaigns, and Steve King, who was condemned by the National Republican Congressional Committee head last week. That's an example of the Republicans stoking racial fears. That was headline number one. Headline number two, quote, full Trumpism. The president's apocalyptic attacks reach a new level of falsity. That's objective journalism from the Washington Post. Then you wonder why Trump rails against the fake news, guys? That's why he's railing against the fake news. Sometimes he's being overbroad. Sometimes he's attacking people because they are covering the news. But when he attacks the Washington Post for this sort of coverage, that is not wrong. I don't remember any similar headline about Barack Obama in the aftermath of, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. I don't have the executive power to greenlight illegal immigration, and the Iran deal is going to be fantastic because the Iranian regime is moderating. I don't remember any of this sort of media coverage from the Washington Post. The president's apocalyptic attacks reach a new level of apocalyptic? What is Trump bringing about the apocalypse? We have 3.7% unemployment and record economic growth. Where's the apocalypse exactly? But this sort of media coverage has become the usual on the left, because if they want to make it a referendum about Trump, that's the only way they think they can win. And you will see that the intersectional politics of the left has reached epic proportions. Again, more media bias. ABC News trotted out this chart. Okay, here's a chart that ABC News trotted out. It said, candidates going into the general election, including House, Senate, and governor's races. Female, 278 candidates, 214 Democrats, 64 Republicans. Non-white, 202, 148 Democrats, 54 Republicans. Openly LGBTQ, 25, all Democrats. Okay, so here's the question. Who gives a crap? Right? Who cares? Who cares how many candidates are female or non-white or openly gay or transgender? Like, who cares about that? ABC News cares, because they are deeply involved and ensconced in intersectional politics. When folks claim that Trump is using identity politics, remember, the identity politics did not start on the right, it started on the left. But if you're going to run a campaign and you got nothing else to run on, you have to run against Trump's quote-unquote identity politicking. So Anna Navarro, who is the left's favorite Republican, which is to say she's no longer a Republican, she was on CNN with Chris Cuomo, a.k.a. block of human, actually like a block of wood. And here is Anna Navarro explaining that Trump is a racist pig. And this, of course, makes Democrats very happy to hear. CNN has lost, honestly, they've lost the thread over at CNN. Whatever they think they are obviously just a wing of the Democratic Party. I think they're more radical than MSNBC at this point, which is an amazing thing to say. But this is what it is. So Anna Navarro making the case that Trump is a racist pig, therefore vote for Democrats.
Yeah, sign me up in the category of the people who think he's racist. He has said so many racist things.
When you don't want to talk policy, you call him a racist. It's the scarlet R
the
now.
Central Park
we gotta go. We'll take it up again after the election.
Central Park 5. Mexicans are racists, are criminals and rapists. El Salvador and Haiti are holes. He is a racist pig.
Okay, so he's a racist. They're going to shout that on TV until they win. Okay, they're not going to put any of those things in context or simply say, okay, fine. So Trump says things that I think are racist. Does that mean that I have to vote against the entire Republican Party? Are all of those people the same as President Trump? Of course not. But here's the thing. So Anna Navarro writes a piece over at CNN, and it's telling. Right? She says, my Florida absentee ballot had been sitting on my kitchen counter unopened for more than 2 weeks. Every day I avoided it as if it was a Zika-infected mosquito. I finally filled it out, and then I schlepped it in my bag for a few more days before putting it in the mail. I was giving myself a chance to change my mind. I wanted to delay the unavoidable. I am a lifelong Republican. Since I began voting, I've always voted for Republicans running in state races in Florida. This year, I filled out my ballot for Democrat Andrew Gillum, and on Thursday, I put it in the mail. Ron DeSantis, a Republican, ran a primary campaign in which he portrayed himself as Donald Trump's mini-me. His signature issue during the primary was building a wall, which is weird because Florida is not a border state. It's a peninsula surrounded by water on 3 sides. I don't want a Trump echo chamber for governor in Florida. I want a governor who puts the interest of the state above loyalty to a president of his party. But I also didn't want to vote for Gillum. I'm a centrist. He's a progressive. That word kind of scares me. He wants to raise corporate taxes. I'm against that. I think it would impede Florida's economic growth. There's an unresolved issue of an FBI investigation involving the city of Tallahassee while he was mayor. Well, the unresolved issue is that he was likely involved in corruption and targeted by the FBI for that corruption in public-private projects. He says, there are loyalty issues for me. Jeb Bush is supporting DeSantis. But then he says, this is Anna Navarro, the 2016 election taught us all an important lesson. Some things in life are binary choices. There is too much at stake in these elections. Often in Florida, elections are decided by 1 percentage point or less. Writing in Mickey Mouse is not an option. And she says that simply because DeSantis is supportive of Trump, that means that she can't vote for DeSantis. And then she cites Caesar Sayoc, who is that crazy person with the Trump ban who is sending pipe bombs to people. It's astonishing. So her solution is, I'm now going to vote for Andrew Gillum. Right? His response to Charlottesville, she's talking about Trump, the Muslim ban, the national anthem controversy, the list is endless. It disgusts me that not even a week after a madman who may have been triggered by the hysteria surrounding migrants killed 11 Jews in a house of worship in Pittsburgh, Trump is back to his old playbook of demonizing immigrants. Gillum is out there, a happy warrior campaigning on a positive message. So in other words, you think that Trump is all of these bad things, so you're going to vote for Andrew Gillum, a radical leftist who is a close associate of Dream Defenders, an intersectional racist group that is wildly anti-Israel, who's deeply involved in corruption in the city of Tallahassee, and you're going to do all of this because Ron DeSantis is nice to Trump? So your solution is to vote for a radical Democrat because you don't like Trump, who, believe it or not, is not on the ballot tomorrow? That's your solution? This is why I have to say, I think that all of this is just a lie. I think the folks who are voting Democrat tomorrow, a lot of the folks who are voting Democrat who proclaim themselves moderates, are forcibly blinding themselves to what the Democratic Party is in order to reach that conclusion. The racist charge against the Republicans is the strongest club in the Democrat bag, but they used it against Mitt Romney, they used it against George W. Bush, and they'll use it against Donald Trump too. Now, I think they're using it against Trump, a little bit more justifiably in the sense that Trump says ridiculous things, but to use it against the entire Republican Party is completely unjustified. And say, I'm going to vote for a radical, intersectional, racist Democrat because that is some sort of rebuke to Trump. How that makes the country better is beyond me. Now, in a second, I want to talk a little bit more about this. We'll talk about what the actual Democrats are what they could be running on if we actually took a look at what Democrats are seriously talking about in just a second. First, let's talk about you dressing better. Okay, so Indochino is the way that you dress better. They have a huge variety of fabrics, colors, and patterns. It makes Indochino super stylish. There's not an excuse for wearing an ill-fitting suit. You went to you went to your local chain store and you picked up a suit on sale and now it drapes off you like Julie Andrews made it for you in Sound of Music, but not quite as tailored. You don't need that suit. What you need is something from Indochino, especially because tailored suits are now available at great prices. You're talking high quality, low price. It's a unique experience actually in Indochino. You are playing designer in consultation with their style guides. I went over to their Santa Monica offices. I had a tailor outfit me. I actually went there in person, checked out all the fabrics, checked out all of the designs. They have monograms, they have lapels. Like you actually get to choose it as though it's Savoy Row, it's Seville Row. It's really fantastic. Go check it out. Indochino is North America's leading made-to-measure menswear company. Visit a stylist at one of their showrooms, have them take your measurements personally, or you can measure yourself at home and shop online at Indochino.com and watch as the compliments roll in. November is Black Friday season, meaning that 2018's lowest prices, up to 70% off everything. The theme is all about stepping out from backstage. Okay, right? You're stepping out from backstage right now because guess what? You've been behind and now you got all the holiday parties. You got to look good. You got a hot date with your wife or with your significant other. Go check it out right now, Indochino.com. And right now, my listeners can receive Black Friday pricing by using promo code Shapiro at checkout. That's 70% off the regular price for a made-to-measure suit. Shipping is free. Indochino.com, promo code Shapiro for up to 70% off. You're not going to look better than in an Indochino suit. Go check it out right now. So the Democrats' final pitch, of course, is Trump's a racist. Now, what that has to do with Marsha Blackburn, or what that has to do with Martha McSally, a combat vet, or what that has to do with the wide variety of Republicans running across the country is beyond me. But I guess that if you're going to make it a referendum on Trump being mean and Republicans being racist, we'll see how that goes for you. Now, Tom Perez, the head of the DNC, tried to trot this out too. Again, the entire name of the game for Democrats is misdirect away from your own party, direct it toward President Trump. This is why it would have been better if President Trump simply receded into the background over the past few months and had everybody talk about the economy and talk about Republican successes and point out the Democrats have lost their minds, which they have. The Kavanaugh thing would have gone just as you would have expected it to go. And that would have been the only headline left. Obviously, the last 2 weeks leading up to the election have been about pipe bombs and shootings in Pittsburgh. And that's allowed the Democrats to really ratchet up the rhetoric on Trump's supposed divisiveness. Here is Tom Perez making that closing pitch.
And now what you see in the closing argument is dog whistle politics, appeals to racist, just the worst of America.
Yeah, this stuff I sort of hate, this dog whistle politics routine. Your dog whistle, because what's the implication? That I'm the dog, that you're the dog, that what Trump actually has to do to win an election is dog whistle to you. You weren't going to vote for Republicans before, but now he has said something racially tinged and you went, oh, I hate those brown people. And now you're going to go vote for President Trump and his party, even though he's not on the ballot. And the reason Democrats are so focused on talking about Trump is because they've got nothing. The same party that is ripping Trump as an anti-Semite and ripping Republicans as racist, that same party is defending Keith Ellison, who's Tom Perez's number 2 over at the DNC. Tom Perez went on national television and called his ex-girlfriend a liar. I thought they were supposed to believe all women, but apparently not when it comes to Keith Ellison.
Do you think Keith Ellison's ex-girlfriend is lying then? Is that what you're saying?
I think Keith Ellison's ex-girlfriend deserves to be heard and deserves to be treated with dignity and deserves to have a fair and full investigation. And that's exactly what has been done.
Okay, in other words, yes, I think that she is lying. What do Democrats actually have to run on? The answer is nothing. They've got nothing to actually run on. Their record stinks. The policies they want to push stink. The economy is historically good. America is in a better position on foreign policy than it was certainly 3 years ago. In reality, the Democratic platform is far too radical for the American people. And in the secrecy of their own little rallies, Democrats will tell you exactly what they want to do, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. What they actually want to do is take over the House, take over the Senate, kick him out of the presidency, and you think at that point they're going to say, listen, we've fought back against racism and sexism and bigotry and homophobia, and now everything's cool. Let's moderate. Let's tack to the center. Let's find unity. Do you think that's what Democrats are going to do? Or do you think they're going to pursue the most radical agenda they can? It was really funny. In 2008, there was a lot of talk about President Obama being a unifying figure, that he was going to unify America after the divisive Bush years. We were going to react by electing a man of true unity. There was only one problem. Barack Obama then immediately tacked as hard to the left as it is possible to go. He did cash for clunkers. He did stimulus. He did bailouts. He did TARP. He did Obamacare. He did all of those in the first year and a half of his administration because he said he won and he had the power. Democrats are trying to do the same thing right now. Don't fall for the scam. Even if you're not a fan of President Trump's, you have to acknowledge there's another party in power, and if they get into power because of Trump, they're not going to be anodyne in their policy prescriptions. Nancy Pelosi makes this clear, right? She would be the new Speaker of the House again. Here's Nancy Pelosi saying exactly what she stands for.
San Francisco values, that's what we're about. The city of St. Francis, the city whose anthem is the Song of St. Francis, make us an instrument of thy peace. Darkness, light, despair, hope, hatred, love, all of that. That's who we are. Our hearts are full of love for everyone in our country. Colleagues have honored me with titles and this or that, and I say to them, I'm very honored. But I had no bigger honor than to walk onto the floor of the House and speak for the people of San Francisco.
Okay, San Francisco is the most left-leaning city in the United States, and she is saying that our politics are the politics of San Francisco, the politics of poop on every corner, the politics of sanctuary cities, the politics of extraordinarily high taxes and extraordinarily high real estate prices, the politics of a city that used to be nice, now falling into ruin because of Democratic policy. Right? That is the politics of Nancy Pelosi. And if we got past Trump, we would recognize that if it were a referendum on Democratic policy, people would react badly. And it's not just Nancy Pelosi. When Democrats are forced to embrace their own agenda, it's pretty obvious what they want here. Democrats have not made an affirmative case why you should vote for them. They make a case why you should not vote for President Trump. They say he's divisive, but they themselves are just as divisive or more divisive. And not only that, their policies are significantly more radical. Jake Tapper on CNN did a good job of pushing Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams is the Democratic gubernatorial candidate in Georgia. She's running in a relatively close race. She as a representative, pushed a bill for gun confiscation. Here's Tapper pushing her on it.
Your co-sponsor told reporters the law, quote, would require gun owners of these particular models to turn their guns in.
And again, my point is this. The legislation introduced was the beginning of a conversation. I am absolutely certain that were we to pass this in Georgia, we would have a conversation about grandfathering in, about whether or not people would turn their guns in, whether there would be buybacks.
Well, just to be clear, though, I'm just trying to understand. So you don't support the actual legislation? You just support having a conversation about it?
No, what I've said is legislation in the state legislature is about starting the conversation.
So here's the deal. Democrats don't have an agenda to run on. The agenda they've been pushing is really just an agenda of Republicans are racist, sexist, bigot, homophobes. The same agenda they've been pushing my entire lifetime, basically. They're pushing that same agenda now. And on top of that agenda will be a bunch of bad policy. Because this is what they always do. What they do is they say, okay, 2008 was a referendum on Republican leadership. And then Barack Obama came in and he said, no, what this really was a referendum on was nationalized health care, which it certainly was not. The Democrats today and the Democrats in the media are lying, and they are saying this election is about Medicare. It's not about Medicare. People are not voting based on Medicare. They're voting based on whether they like Trump or not. It's that simple. This is a referendum on President Trump. And the problem with referenda on particularly partisan political figures is that it ignores what's going to happen after the referendum, which means that there's going to be a policy shift. And so Democrats, in the end, what are they really campaigning on? Are they really campaigning on Stacey Abrams' gun control or on Medicare? Or on Social Security? Are they really campaigning on any of those things? No, what they are really campaigning on is we think that there is one side of the country that is hateful and terrible. Vote for us. How do we know this? Because this is what they're campaigning on. I mean, they're not hiding the ball here. President Obama back on the stump, and he is saying President Trump is super duper duper corrupt. Unlike me, I'm best. He's standing there in front of Andrew Gillum, He's in front of Andrew Gillum, a man actively under investigation by the FBI for corruption. Right? Andrew Gillum was handed Hamilton tickets by an undercover agent for the FBI in a sting operation designed to ferret out corruption in Tallahassee city government. And Barack Obama is standing in front of him in a rally saying Republicans are corrupt. Here's Barack Obama.
Promise to take on corruption. Instead, they have racked up enough indictments to field a football team. I didn't have anybody in my administration get indicted. I mean, I just thought that's how you're supposed to do things.
Well, right. What you thought is that your own attorney general would be held in contempt by Congress, and then you'd assert executive privilege to shield him, and then you'd make sure that your DOJ didn't prosecute anybody. The fact that there were no indictments during Obama's administration demonstrates the complete partisan hackery of his own DOJ. The fact that there are indictments coming out of the Trump administration is actually better evidence that his DOJ is honest than that Obama's was. Jeff Sessions is an honest man. DOJ is doing a good job investigating and ferreting out corruption even inside the party that exists. Barack Obama politicized his DOJ to the point that Lois Lerner actively cracked down on Republican 501c3s, and his DOJ did nothing about it, nothing. And that's evidence of his non-corruption. I wrote an entire book called The People versus Barack Obama. It's 200 pages about why people inside the Obama administration should have been indicted. Okay, and Obama's suggestion is that the other party is corrupt. All they've got. This is all they've got. Now, maybe it's enough. Maybe it's enough because Trump is such a polarizing figure, because Trump sucks up the publicity, because Trump sucks the oxygen out of the room. Maybe it's enough. But let's not fool ourselves. There are consequences that come on the back of an election cycle like this. Now, in just a second, I want to talk a little bit more about Democrat alarmism. We've heard a lot about Republican alarmism about the caravan. And I'll be frank with you. I'm friendly to that argument. I think Republicans have been alarmist about the caravan. But Democrat alarmism is no better. In fact, in many ways, it's significantly worse. And then we'll talk about anti-Semitism, and I got to talk about this SNL thing too. There's a lot to talk about, but you're first going to have to go over to dailywire.com and subscribe. Before we do that, though, let me remind you that if you actually want to get a fantastic present for anyone in your family, you need to head over to Legacy Box. Okay, this is an important service. There are a lot of services we use that are fantastic. This one is actually important. I'm a big believer that the memories that you create during your life have to be preserved in a safe way, because if those memories are gone, then you lose them. You do. And when those memories are lost, you're losing a part of yourself. Legacy Box ensures that doesn't happen. Legacy Box is a simple, affordable way to get your recorded moments digitally preserved on DVD or thumb drive. Here's how it works. You load Legacy Box with your old tapes, film, pictures, audio recordings, and you send it back. You get them back in a couple of weeks on DVD or a convenient thumb drive, ready to watch, share, and relive. I get notes from folks who have used Legacy Box on a fairly regular basis telling me how much it has meant to their family that they now have all of these memories available for quick access. Legacy Box takes care of everything. They provide updates at every step of the way. I've used Legacy Box for my parents. It makes a fantastic, fantastic present, again, for Christmas or Hanukkah. Go check it out right now. Over 350,000 families have used Legacy Box. For a limited time, go to legacybox.com/Ben. Enter my promo code Ben. Get a 40% discount on your order. That's legacybox.com/Ben. Again, legacybox.com/Ben. Go check it out right now. legacybox.com/Ben. Alrighty, so for the rest of today's show, you're going to need to go over to dailywire.com. We have so many goodies available to you when you become a subscriber. $9.99 a month. That means you get the rest of this show live, Klavan's show live, Knowles' terrible show live. You get Matt Walsh's show live. You can check out all those things. Plus, tomorrow evening, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, I will be here torturing myself by watching the election live with you. So if you're not there, let me tell you something. I will take that as a sign of disloyalty, my friends. Don't miss our next episode of Daily Wire Backstage Election Edition, when I suffer through a 9-hour session with God King Jeremy Boring, Andrew Klavan, the execrable Michael Knowles. Elisha Krauss will be there. Colton Haas will be there. Cassie Dillon will be there. All of us will be there suffering together. You won't want to miss that. As always, only Daily Wire subscribers get to ask the question, so make sure to subscribe today. And if I'm going to put myself through that, man, you could at least have the loyalty to subscribe. I mean, come on. For the amount that we do for you here at Daily Wire, I'm insulted if you don't. Also, don't miss Andrew Klavan's next chapter of Another Kingdom, performed by the execrable Michael Knowles. Today, subscribers get exclusive access to episode 6, titled He Bought Me, which is also a story about Andrew Gillum. If you're not a subscriber, you won't be able to watch new episodes of season 2 until Friday. So what exactly are you waiting for? Go check it out right now at dailywire.com. Subscribe to watch the first and second seasons of Another Kingdom. So many goodies for you. When you get the annual subscription, by the way, you get this: the very greatest in all beverage vessels. Feel the calm flow through you as you grasp the solidity of the leftist tears, hot or cold tumbler. Feel the genius infuse your brain as you take a sip from this, the very greatest in all beverage vessels. So go check that out. For an annual subscription, you get that as well. Plus, we're adding new subscriber services all the time. You're going to want to be part of the team, and we really appreciate you working with us. We are the largest, fastest growing conservative podcast in the nation.